right, welcome to a brand new episode of the show. My guest today is on for the second time. He's a husband, he's a father, he's an incredible tattooer, he's a deep thinker, calming presence, and he's my friend, Mr. Andy Foe. Andy, welcome to the show, brother. Welcome again.
What's up, Jake? So glad to be here, man.
Dude, it has been listen, we saw each other like 3 months ago, something like that.
Yeah, 3 months ago, and then the first time we did this was October 2020.
Yeah, that was it.
Yeah.
That was a little while ago, man. You were guest 11 on the podcast.
Where are we now? What number?
This is going to be, as far as guests go, 117, I think, 118, 119, something
Man, you've been putting in the work.
like that. I've been trying, man. I really enjoy doing this, man. I enjoy talking to people like you and learning from your perspective, learning from all the things that folks are doing, what motivates them, and what a gift it's been to have so many interesting, fun people on the show.
Yeah, absolutely.
Dude, so we got to talk about this. What has happened over the last what did we say, a year and a half, 2 years since we talked? What have you been up to, man?
Yeah. So last October, I actually we did this while I was in Austin. So it was my first trip. We were looking for a city to move to. So during 2020, I relocated to New York, and New York was a great place to be with family and to work in the meantime, but we knew we weren't going to call it home. So we listed all these major cities, and I was ready to just like Anthony Bourdain it, just start traveling and, do the food and talk to different artists and stuff. My first day in Austin, my first trip, I was stand-up paddleboarding on Lady Bird Lake in the middle of downtown, and I was like, this is beautiful. Like, I think this is it. So we spent about 4 days here, and then me and my wife, we made 6 trips so far. We haven't looked anywhere else. So since then, we were just getting ready to do the move across the country, and we've been out here since July of last year. It's been a year now, and for the past year, it's been searching for locations, negotiating the lease, finding the general contractor, all the gritty stuff when it comes to actually building a brick and mortar location. Then on top of that, doing a lot of mentoring, and we have different artists coming from different parts of the world to come work with us, and just trying to stay centered and grounded, like not making sure my family's falling apart, my fitness isn't falling apart. Like, to have all those pieces and then still grow as an artist, it's super difficult, but we got to find a way. There's no other way around it.
Yeah. So what is that process like when you're a tattoo artist without a brick and mortar location? How is it like? Because you've been doing the search, you've been doing the thing, but your trade depends I mean, I guess from the outside looking in, the trade depends so much on like having kind of like a static environment, or at least a place where people know to find you.
Yeah.
I guess you're a name. People know to find Andy Foe, and you can tattoo him anywhere, like you tattooed me. But like, how has that been? How's that experience been?
So I'm grateful to know a lot of like amazing tattoo artists who have shops. And when I was in New York, I worked at Love Machine. That one's owned by Dennis Savak, amazing tattooer. He's been tattooing a long time. He has an amazing crew at Love Machine. And I was grateful enough to be able to spend about a year working with him there, and just seeing like how different an environment like that is than what I'm used to. I've worked at 3 other locations prior to. And then after that, when I moved to Texas, I was working at Devotion Tattoo Studios. That's with David Vega, amazing portrait artist, Trent Ballou. And they were gracious enough, and I'm grateful that they allowed me to work there while I was getting my shop up and running. So with that, it's just being able to just have good connections, good relationships, and being able to not only learn from people like that, but be able to contribute your energy and your skill set and your talents as well. So that it's a great energy exchange. So if you have the opportunity, it's like go guest spot, go learn, go hang out, go experience something different as well.
So, this is kind of a 2-part question here. One, there's a lot of people moving to Austin, Texas.
Mm-hmm.
There's a lot. It is the area is just blowing up. I mean, I think most famously, obviously, Joe Rogan podcast is shot out of there now. Like, there's a lot of the comedy scene in that area has blown up, and then also just so many people have moved from New York and Texas and New York, California, and all across the country. Also, I imagine the amount of tattoo studios and
Mm,
Austin has shot up
yeah.
as well. So I guess, how what's the perception? Like, these individuals bring you into the studio. They're like, yeah, feel free, like tattoo here until you have a studio up. But is there competition there? Do you feel competition between studios, or is it all love in that space? Like, how do you navigate that?
So that's what I was worried about when I left Vegas. I was like, oh man, like, am I going to be able to work somewhere? Do I have to start my own thing? And I knew like once I did leave, like the other option was for me to just open my own place. That was eventually going to happen. I wasn't in the plans before. But as I began to talking to more tattoo artists, like tattoo artists are nice. They're really welcoming, very receptive, and they allowed um, me the opportunity to just like work alongside them, which that's not the environment that I'm used to. It's typically like another tattoo shop is competition. But when I spoke to David moving to Texas, he was like, "Oh yeah, like you definitely should come out here. Like there's not enough black and gray tattooers. Like you're gonna do really well." And I was just like, never thought I'd hear that before.
Wow.
But it was just really nice and welcoming. And as I came out here, I started to network a little bit more. And it's a mixture of different things. It's the talent, the skill set. It's also the personality. Like if you come into town with a great personality, great vibe, you're willing to, network, connect, and you have great artwork, I think for the most part, you're welcomed, you know? But at the same time, it's like there's plenty of clients for everybody. Like,
Yeah.
no, I think as far as tattoo artists go, we think like there's so many tattooers in the world, but more than tattooers, there are a lot of people who just want to have tattoos. People are always turning 18, ready for the first tattoo.
That's
There are
true.
also always older people who are ready to get their first one. And then clients want to get tattooed by different people. So I never see a shortage of clients. And for tattoo artists who feel like there are, like, then I just speak with them and just give them some insight, give them some heads up. And at that point, people are just like, wow, their perspective opens up. So I come in with a different perspective and a different attitude, a different vibe. And I'm generally, I don't know, like I am welcomed everywhere I go.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's a beautiful thing, man. There's no doubt in my mind when people meet you, just because of the presence that you have. I mean, they're going to welcome you right in as well. You're just such a
Yeah.
calming, energetic guy. I'm curious about this though. So you have an opportunity to build out a space,
Mhm.
and really create the space that's best for Andy, best for the artists that you work with as far as tattooing, Upside Tattoo, you said.
Yeah.
Um, how are you designing that space? What does that space mean to you? How are you starting from scratch and building something unique that represents your style of tattooing or what you love?
Yeah. Upside tattoo is sacred space,
Yeah.
right? Like I treat it like it's appointment only. It's closed doors. You can only come in if you have an appointment. There's no plus ones. You can't bring anybody with you. No cell phones, no books, no movies. We have no TVs in there. It's very zen, minimal, modern in that aspect. It's a 4,000 square feet box, completely open layout, no other walls except the restrooms and the storage in the back. And we're tattooing on 10 by 10 jujitsu mats.
Wow.
Like we're on the ground, we've got massage tables with no legs. Like we're all just sitting on the floor. All the furniture low to the ground. Like the feeling that you have when you go into the place, like you're teleported, like you're in a whole new realm. And most tattoo shops, when you walk into them, it's sensory overload. There's the music, there's the people, there's the flash art on the wall, there's different paintings and all these different computers and screens. When you come in here, like there's no art on the wall. And the reason why is we want the artwork, the focus to be on the clients getting the piece. We want it to be on the artist who's creating the work. No other distractions. And what we found after like sampling this in the current space that we're at, most people say, I can't imagine getting tattooed any other way.
Wow.
They're falling asleep getting tattooed. There's less swelling, there's less redness, there's less bleeding, there's more connection between the artist and the clients. We're doing gratitude chairs and breathing exercises in the very beginning. So like everyone is just like coming in like centered. And the tattoos don't even hurt that much anymore. What hurts more sometimes is the conversations here and here. And it's been so amazing to have that shared with the other artists and clients in the space. It's unseen. I haven't seen anywhere else, but it's what works for me. I know it's not for everybody, but for the clients who walk in the door, they can't forget it.
Wow. So that, that's incredible that the emphasis on creating a connection. Like how did you stumble up like was it a gradual process where you start to kind of minimize the distractions in the environment, or did you like how did you start playing with this concept or this idea, or trying to get down to this minimalist type style?
Well, when you first get into tattooing, like you have an idea of what the experience is supposed to be like, and you're in somebody else's environment. So you take it as it comes and you get to modify it a little bit. And as you travel around to conventions or other shops, start to see what other people are doing. You may watch some YouTube videos or whatever. But it's really when I started to get tattooed that I started to like notice what would it be like to be a client. And there's a lot of distractions, people coming in and out of the room. Some artists are taking smoke breaks. Um, sometimes there's like distracting music, so you may want to put your own headphones on. Um, it's really just coming from a client standpoint. And then there was one time in 2019, I got tattooed for 7 days straight. So I got tattooed for 7 days, about 43 hours, all these different painful areas. And I had to find my rhythm of like, what makes this less painful? How can I get through this marathon session? And as I began to get tattooed, I was like, I'm not doing this. I'm doing more of that. I definitely don't want this if I was a client. And I'm definitely doing that if I was a client. And after just like constantly studying and analyzing every experience and also hearing it from my clients, what they like, what they don't like, what their other experience has been, how do I piece all those experiences together and put it into a box that people can just come and like remember this permanent experience and have it like make a mark, not only physically, but mentally and emotionally.
That's beautiful. And you have other artists working with you at Upside Tattoo?
Yeah, we do.
Eh, eh,
I have Brian Espel moved from New Jersey. Lath, he was a client. Well, both were clients. Lath moved from California. Um, and then we have a couple more that aren't official yet, but it's
yeah.
amazing to just have people trust you and relocate from around the world. I have to give everything to them to make sure that they're taken care of here.
And how have they adapted to that environment? Because I imagine that's a lot of sitting. If you're doing a jujitsu mats, you're not sitting in a chair. I mean, you're kind of probably cross-legged or laying on a hip. Like
Hmm.
how is it to tattoo like laying down? It's just kind of a weird. I'm trying to wrap my head around it, but I imagine you
Hmm.
found a way to do it comfortably.
Sitting on the floor brings a very playful, youthful, energetic feel to tattooing. So you start out like sitting cross-legged, then you end up shifting a little bit. You may sit on your knees, you may sit on one knee and your other leg's out. We've sometimes even tattooed like laying on our stomach, kind of like how kids when they're laying on the floor, like looking at their iPads or drawing or
Drawing,
something
yeah.
like when you get to that position, and it's weird for most people, like, why would you do that? But like it brings this youthful, creative energy into the space that is just like you never get bored, right? You always have this energy that's going through you. And like it's not meant human beings are not meant to sit in chairs all day long. So when you're sitting on the floor and it becomes uncomfortable after 30 minutes, make an adjustment. And if it's still not uncomfortable, make an adjustment. If at some point it becomes unbearable, stand up, walk around, take a break. So it's actually like an automatic timer inside the body that's just like get up and move. You shouldn't be sitting here in one position for 2, 3, 4 hours straight. And the best thing about that is like it sets a rhythm, like an urgency of like, you have like 45 minutes to an hour to work before your break kicks in. Like work efficiently. So we're teaching that aspect of like sitting on the floor. And they were a little like, oh, that's strange. But as they started to do it, they were like, I sit on the floor at home now. Like,
Yeah.
they're really taking to it in all aspects outside of the shop.
That's a beautiful thing, brother. Dude, I gotta you said the word once or twice already, teaching, mentorship, those types of things. How has that been going? Like I mean, online mentorship is something that you were talking about that you were
Mm-hmm.
currently doing. Are you still doing that today online, or are you doing it through your shop? Like, how's that work?
Yeah, so I was when I wasn't working on a shop, I was doing a lot more mentorship programs as far as like teaching tattooing and the mindset, the skill set, and working through fitness. Like everyone who does a mentorship program, like it's a full mind, body, soul like expansion, right? It's not just like the tattoo techniques, because like the tattoo techniques is just one aspect of it. But when I started to work on the shop, I didn't have a lot of time and energy to it. I was still doing mentoring and coaching with the people that were around me, and also just online. So a lot of the stuff is just more so, we call it in the realms of like life coach, mindset coaching. And when we begin to tap in those things, like to teach people how to think and approach whatever it is in life, they start to see the connections and they're just like, oh, we can do this in tattooing. So now I've just been doing more so the mindset, the life coaching, with fitness stuff as well. Like all those things interconnect so well. And I'll touch back a little bit on the sitting on the floor.
Yeah.
Sitting on the floor is the equalizer. If your health isn't optimal, you can't sit on the floor. So you already know you're falling short in one aspect of your life. It starts to pour out into your other areas. Like if your fitness is not good, your family likely isn't good. Your finances aren't good. Your faith isn't good. All those things interconnect. So we definitely tap into like the mindset, the body stuff, and that's been really doing well as far as being able to like motivate is not even the word, like inspire, change, transform, like consciousness. Like these people are really starting to see things in a different light. Am I going off topic? I'm rambling at
No,
this
no,
point.
not at all, man. And it's something that I actually wanted to get into a little bit with you as well, because something that I noticed in you, and if I could be so bold, is when we were together in Vegas a couple months ago, there's a I felt a change about you a little bit. I felt something different in your aura. I felt something very like um I don't know. There was this powerful calm to it. You took me and a group of us through. Is that right? Me and a group of us. I don't know. That's not English. I don't know what that
A
is.
group of us.
A
Yeah,
group of us.
yeah.
You took a group of us.
Yeah.
It's most important that I was there.
Yeah,
But yeah,
yeah,
me
that's right.
me and a group of us. You took us through a breathing exercise
Hmm.
and got us centered. And I couldn't help but feel very like kind of calm in that as well. But you just, every time I look back at you, you had this kind of like this glow, this aura. Is that something you've been working on over the last year and a half, 2 years? Is that something that you're pulling back from your past? I know you've had kind of an interesting background as well. I'd love to hear about that.
I've been working on this my whole life,
Okay.
like just constantly refining. And I don't typically come from a good circumstances. It's not the worst. I haven't been in the worst, but I'm always downplaying like my childhood and how I grew up. Um, I mean, where do I even begin? The bulk of it is like I've just had a lot of different um, negative experiences throughout my life, and I've just been trying to find like positive outlets, different things from like finding mentors and writing and reading, um, you know, doing yoga, running, cycling, doing psychedelics, like just really like
Yeah.
trying to find like the very core of who I am. And when we're not glowing, when we're not shining, there's all this like negativity that's like hiding it, it's masking it. So when you say like what happened, in between when we've met perhaps 2 years ago up until a few months ago, a lot of it was like deep, deep work. They call it shadow work, so it's through journaling, it's through meditation, it's through these psychedelic retreats where, you're just going inward through your soul and just finding like, who are you and what do you want? Who are you and what do you want? Like, what are the things that have to be fixed? Journaling the hell out of your feelings, doing art therapy. And as you start to like work through all those things, I started to find like similarities between me and everybody else in the world.
Mm.
And I couldn't help but be more compassionate, more understanding, uh, more patient, where it's just like everyone's going through this human experience. Like, how can you help them out? And the only way you can help them out is by like helping working on yourself a little bit more. So I started to carry myself a little bit differently as far as like the energy, the thoughts, the fitness, um, being really intentional with everything. And when you begin to do that, you become super mindful that now, like, you start to walk a little differently. You almost float, like, you start to like behave and speak. And like, that comes from a place of like authenticity, of being secure with who you are and your experiences, getting rid of all like the hate, the anger, the frustration. Like I've had a lot of that, even through like breath work. I've done some breath work stuff, and like I'll share one analogy is like when you have a lot of hate, anger, or something that's going on, it's like a burnt pot of food, right? So the
Yeah.
first thing you have to do is like scoop out all that like burnt food. And over time, through all these practices like meditation, journaling, yoga, mushrooms, whatever, you start to scrape off all the little black burnt parts. I did this breath work out here in Austin, and it scraped off the last bit of hate that I had inside. Any like anger, resentment, like I still feel frustrated sometimes,
Yeah.
but like anyone that I speak to anymore, there's no hate, there's no judgment toward this. Like, damn, this person like needs help. This person is hurt. So when you start to have that perspective, like that's probably the glow that you're seeing. It's just like just
Yeah.
understanding, more compassion.
Yeah, that's that's the thing. You said the word like floating. That would be the word that I would put. That you did kind of look like you were floating around, and again, you see you have such a calming presence today. I love the analogy, scraping out a burnt pot,
Yeah.
exploring that self exploration, doing all that type of stuff. And then you talked about um, physical fitness. You talked about an enjoyment for running, things like cycling
Hmm.
as well. I know that you were putting on like a kind of a night run.
Hmm.
Unfortunately, I missed it. I went and spent some time with some friends of mine down in Henderson, but you guys ran for 12, 13 hours. What was that all about?
So every time I've met up with, we're part of the MDK, the
Yep.
Modern Day Nights Project, and every time we've met up, one place or another, like we do something. I call it stupid. We bike 130 miles from Chino to San Diego. We run our first half marathon, or our first ultra marathon on the beach. Like we do something like ridiculous. So this time comes around, I knew a few people who wanted to meet up and do something. So I was like, what if we just do like a 12-hour like ruck or run? Like, yeah, but what if our pace is all different? Like, how do we keep accountability for each other? And I was like, what if we just do it like a mile and a half out, a mile and a half back, and we just repeat? And some people are like, that's boring. Some people are like, that sucks. But everyone's just like, we're in.
Yeah.
And when you do something like that, it's yeah, the physical is one part, but it's the soul searching, right? It's the self searching. It's knowing like what do you have to keep pushing and going forward. So we're always doing some sort of physical activity. I wanted to also take this opportunity to create some form of artwork because I was really pushing heavy, um, like the different art forms that I was exploring. So with that, I had a wooden panel up, and I walked barefoot for about 12 miles or so. And then as the sun was starting to rise for 4 hours, I just started to draw, just fully exhausted, already like worked through my shit, and just started to just draw the things that I was seeing. So I did on this really awesome, like 18 by 24 wooden panel, different perspectives, like, and then we recorded on a GoPro 360, and then we're turning that into like a VR experience. And then that was created as like an NFT gifted to the participants and the MDK instructors. So that one, like we're still fine tuning and tweaking that, but it was more so just a way to like get people connected, get people to learn about themselves, bond, and then an opportunity for me to like create and give back to everyone who was there for that experience as well.
That's amazing, man. That's amazing. Walking barefoot 12 hours has got to be, got to be
12 miles,
oh,
12
12 miles.
miles.
Got it.
Yeah.
That's got to be a grind too, man. How'd your feet hold up there on the strip?
It wasn't too bad. We were on a paved trail, so it was, I guess, like tar. It was fine. There was a couple of little like areas where like stray little rocks were everywhere. So, man, it's so cool to see like when we say we're gonna do something, other people are like we're into. A couple other people went barefoot also for a bit of it, and we just walked, we talked, and like there were just some areas where like these little pebbles were everywhere. It was almost like walking on glass, and everyone
Yeah.
just had to like keep their composure of getting through this evolution, this portion of like we're gonna be fine, we're gonna be fine, we're gonna be fine, and that's all it is. Just one step in front of the other, no matter how difficult it is. Like we're gonna be fine.
Yeah. I want to get back to NFTs for a second, but first I want to
Yeah.
talk about just a personal experience I had yesterday. I woke up and I needed to do something hard. I hadn't done something to
Mhm.
push myself in quite a while. And I was like, you know what? We've got the Boise Greenbelt here in Boise, Idaho. It's a little over 25 miles. And I was like, you know what? I'm not gonna run it. I'm not in marathon shape. I haven't been running I've been running a little bit, but nothing more than 4 or 5 miles at most. So I'm like, I'm not running the whole thing, but I'm just gonna walk. I called a buddy of mine. I was like, hey, you want to meet me at 4 a.m. Uh, at the start of the Greenbelt's a place called Lucky Peak. It's the dammed Boise River, and then the river starts running from the dam, and we just walked. We walked the whole thing. We talked 7.5 hours. Ended up
Mm,
walking a little over 30 miles is what it ended up being. And just the whole time having a conversation with another human being, getting connected with nature. Beautiful walk. We saw bunnies. We saw all kinds of animals and wildlife and all this kinds of stuff. But I tell you what, I'm pretty damn sore today. But I'm so
mm,
grateful. I'm so grateful for myself for waking up in the morning and doing that. I'm grateful for my body for being able to hold up through that. I'm grateful for the next opportunity to do that. Next, in fact, my wife and I are going to do it together on our wedding anniversary, our 13th wedding anniversary
mm.
that's coming up because she's excited to do it as well.
That's so
So
awesome.
I inspired her to do that. And it's funny. It's like if you're, you talked about, hey, we had this group of people that from the MDK project that came together and said that they wanted to do this thing that's hard, and that's something that we typically end up doing together. But there's so much energy and gravity that just
Yeah.
create from an idea like that. And then it just the ripple effect of just saying, we're going to do this hard thing and we're just going to stick with it. And on the other side of it, we're all going to feel better. We're all going to be better around this kind of thing. And
Hmm.
I can't help but relate. And then again, I look forward to the next time our groups get together to do something like that.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, it
Yeah,
was.
that's a great time to just be able to like work through those motions with people,
Yeah.
because like, yeah, we can certainly do it by ourselves, but we know that if we have somebody else, like you had somebody to support you throughout that entire time. And you know that when you go through something difficult next time, likely that person will be there for you.
Oh yeah. And my dumb ass, I went to jujitsu the night before or the morning before. So I go to jujitsu in the morning. I sprained my thumb, which is a normal thing. You get hurt in jujitsu. That's totally fine. I also Thai boxed before jujitsu.
Mhm.
I did like a 2 minute round. That's it. I just
Yeah,
1 2 minute round with a kid that we've got going there, and he kicked me in the same spot above my knee twice, just right in that dead leg spot. So
yeah,
I woke up on Sunday morning with a dead leg, and I'm like, oh man, excuse number one. Like I could
yeah.
use this one and say, ah, my leg hurts too much.
Uh-huh.
I already have a broken toe on my left foot from Alaska. And I'm like, oh, I got a broken toe. I got kicked in the leg. Like, I don't know if I can do this. And I'm like, no, I already said I was going to do it. And I went up and I
Yeah.
did it. And it's so easy to talk yourself out of things. It's so hard to
Hmm.
just stick with it. But of course, I made it to the other side. Of course, I'm fine waking up today and I'm able to have this conversation with you. And I think that's one of the things that we can make sure as people that we're doing to inspire others and to create
Yeah.
opportunities for others to find that out about themselves as well.
Yeah.
That's a beautiful thing. Hey, so let me pivot back because I'm interested. I know very little about this space, which is NFTs. I've had some interesting people coming on the podcast and talking about artwork and NFTs and talking about the whole opportunity that the blockchain creates or the ability to own digital assets creates
Mhm.
in the world. What's that mean for you? Someone who's a tattoo artist. What are you exploring around this space? How are we going to have NFTs on our bodies? Are our tattoos NFTs? Or is it separate
Mm.
artwork? Like how do you look at it?
NFT is it's a word for, just like anything online can be turned into an NFT. You can own anything online, the first tweet or whatever it is. Um, what's most appealing to me about NFTs is the use of it. So if you're gonna take a painting or picture like the one behind you and just scan it digitally and say, hey, you can own this one, like, cool, you got a picture online. And some people see the value in that of being like the first of a digital owner of something like that. But it's not exciting enough to me.
Yeah.
If you put a video up, okay, video is more so, technology that you can make interesting why you can't put it into something physical. That makes it more interesting. I think it's really about how can you utilize new technology to make it exciting. Otherwise, you're just regurgitating the same thing from one medium to another. Um, for me, it's about exploring different things, which is why I ended up creating a VR experience for the uh, length of that 12-hour ruck and run, because a lot of people weren't there. But what would it have been like if you were? And to
Mm,
watch that in VR, to just kind of look around like, whoa, like that's kind of cool, because like it's essentially like transplanting them into that space. So that's just one example of it. Like I've got a couple other ideas, and it's like depending on how you utilize the NFT, it's going to become like exciting. One of the ways that they've been using NFTs is more so like a community space. So you have to have access to in order to have access to certain communities, you have to have like certain tokens, tickets or memberships of sorts, if you will. And that's a great way to use it if it's more so just like a badge of verifying like your identity within that space. But it's still at such an infant stage that we don't know what it's going to be like. It's like somebody describing to you, what the internet was going to be like in 1995. Like we didn't know what it was going to be. Web 1.0 was just like you were able to just go on the internet and be a consumer. You could read something online, very minimal, right? No pictures, no videos or anything quite yet. Web 2.0 is when we could start contributing. We could start adding content onto the internet. Well, how is Web 3.0 different? We don't know. Like we had no idea that we were able to like do Zoom calls and record it and put in a podcast where you could get it on your phone. Like technology, like we can't premeditate those things. We may have an idea, but until like some creatives come in the space, some engineers, some entrepreneurs, and just come up with some like new ideas, we don't know. And we know that's not the final frontier. Like NFT is just I think a phrase for us to be able to like touch the next level of the internet.
mm.
Yeah.
No, that's a wonderful perspective. I always like to ask anybody who's got a reason to contemplate the space what they're thinking about today, because I have no idea what to think, man.
Yeah.
I'm so blown away by, I was on a podcast called the Monster Mindset podcast, with a guy named Doug Bartlett, and he had bought one of these like skunk ape looking things, these little tiny, 16-bit or whatever they are,
Mm-hmm.
32-bit.
Yeah.
I don't even know what to call this. Something art. I don't remember what it is, but he's like,
Yeah.
oh, yeah, it was like 25,000 or $250,000. I'm like, what? And he goes, yeah, but I turned around and I sold it for $400,000. And I was like, he's like, it's like wearing, it's like a Rolex in this community. It's like
Mm-hmm.
it's one of those things where some things have value, and
Yeah.
where that perception migrates is kind of where you want to be. You want to be in those early
Mm-hmm.
phases, especially if you're looking to turn a profit in those things. But also, there's such a unique opportunity in digital ownership and kind of crossing this bridge between virtual and digital assets in the world that we live in today. And
Yeah.
that's what I'm really interested in. And I don't know how to make that. I don't know how to cross that bridge yet, but it's certainly scratching my curiosity.
Yeah. Like with that, it just comes like the value in that is up and down. It's one of those things of like it's brand new, so it may just be the timing of it, the hype around it that drives the value up. It could be the value in the creator or the group of people that are doing it that's gonna like drive it up or drive it down. It could be the economy, the market. Like right now, like the value of crypto's down. So technically the value of assets are also down. So some people are just looking at it as like investments, and whether it's smart or not, like nobody knows until you hit it big or you take a big loss.
Yeah.
And like the stock market, like NFTs, it's going to go up, it's going to go down. You won't know until you're in the future. Like one of my biggest things, and I'll talk about this in the sense of like investments and what's worth it, what's not. I was eating Chipotle 4 times a day in like 2006. And I think at the time it was like $60 or $80 a share. And I've always heard like invest or buy stocks in the things that you believe in. And I was religious about Chipotle. Like that was my favorite thing. I'm still eating it to this day.
Yeah.
I think it's up. The last time I checked, I haven't checked because I'm so disappointed in it, but I can't do anything about it. It was like $1,800 a share. And it was just like, that's just the way that the world works. And
Yeah.
NFTs, we don't know if it's going to go up, it's going to go down. We have no idea. The only thing that I know that we can put like true value on is like ourselves, our relationships, the interactions that we have with people, Because at the end of the day, if NFTs or anything else crashes, like who else do you have to rely on? You have yourself, right? Your mind, your body to get you through it, and then you have other people to like support you through these particular moments. So um, I don't know, man. I try not to think too much about investments because I'm not really good at those things. I just know like
Yeah.
I like to invest in like the human aspect, the relationships.
Yeah. All right. Well, hey, let's pivot then into some human aspects and some relationships.
Yeah.
And this might be getting a little personal, so feel free to to sidestep it. But when you came on the podcast last, we talked a little bit about you leaving Skin Designs in Las Vegas, and we talked a
Hmm.
little bit about your brother and the mentorship that he provided to you at that point in time. And there's a bit of a fracture there that we ended up
Yeah.
talking about a little bit as well. Has that changed at all in the last 2 years? Is there some healing there? Is it kind of, it is what it is? Like, do you mind addressing that?
Uh, Prior to, I would have said it's too personal, but for me, it's like anyone who knows me knows my brother when it comes to tattooing.
Yeah.
Anyone who knows my brother, they know me. Like we're kind of synonymous when it comes to black and gray tattooing. He's definitely been doing a lot longer. He's a legend, but um, no, since we left, like we haven't had much contact. I still reach out and stuff, but um, I understand that at the end of the day, like, and I begin to contemplate these things too because as a business owner, as a mentor, like I am a business owner, I'm a mentor. If somebody decides to leave, like it's hurtful, right? Like you feel
Yeah.
almost betrayed or abandoned. You feel like you've done everything that you could. Um, so I understand it from that aspect of just having more compassion, understanding the pain, understand the feelings behind it. And at the end of the day, we're two very different people. We like the same thing as far as like tattooing goes, but my focus is, different. His focus is different. We have different life and business philosophies. So with that, no, we haven't been communicating much. I still reach out and stuff, but
Okay.
it's all love. It's all love.
I appreciate that, man. Well, thank you. Thank you
Yeah,
for touching in on that. I know that is something that popped up last time, so I just wanted to close the loop on that from
yeah,
episode number 11 of the podcast, which is hey, also you've got a kid.
yeah.
How's fatherhood, man? How's fatherhood through COVID? How's fatherhood as your perspective has changed and evolved? Or that you're getting more connected to self as you're opening the shop that's yours? Like, how does that manifest in your family and specifically through the time that you spend with your children?
Mm. Uh, it's never steady. It's up and it's down because it's mixed. It's intermingled with other personalities. You
Yeah.
know, I will say there is more dimension, more depth in our relationships. And the only reason why I say that is because like I didn't have the capacity to have the depth in the relationship with people around me because like I've had a lot going on here and here. So until I started to like work on all those things, like I would be sitting with my daughter sometimes and she'd be talking to me and she'd be calling for me. And my wife's like, she's calling you. She's calling you. Like, oh, sorry. What'd you say? She goes, oh, play with this. And I'll just pick it up. And I'm like, my brain's just wandering and like I'm not really aware of what I was doing.
Yeah.
And she'd get frustrated where like she doesn't want to play with me anymore. And it's just like, damn, fuck. And it's the same thing with my wife. Like my wife will talk to me and like I'm looking in her eyes, like I hear it, I see her mouth moving, and then like a memory, comes
I've been
before
there.
my eyes or like something in the future. And then she'll like ask a question and I'll just respond something completely off. And I go, yeah. She goes, yeah, what? I was like, I don't know. And after working through a lot of my personal, emotional stuff in the past year, I was able to see her more clearly. And by that, we had a conversation. I was like, I'm so sorry. We've been together for 15 years, and I'm sorry I didn't really see you. And I'll say the same thing with my daughter. I didn't really see her. I knew there was my wife. I knew there was my daughter. We were having conversations and we had these memories and experiences, but I couldn't really see them because all of my patterns and my thoughts were in front of them. So, like, it was very like this hazy person that was very flat was in front of me. As I cleared all those things away, as it became more centered, more grounded, I started to see like people were more vibrant, they were glowing, there was depth to them. I could hear them, I could listen, and it would retain, and I could have a good conversation. Otherwise, like I'm 34 now, like 33 years, 33 and a half almost. Like I've just had way too much going on up here that didn't allow me to build like a good relationship. So
Mm,
with that, it was like, you've always tried, but we see it now. You are more present. And again, why I say like it's up and it's down, it's like if I have to work on like, a fire, then like, yeah, I may not be there at that particular time, but I go home and it's like, please put your phone on do not disturb. Please don't check social media right now. Please play with your daughter. Like I have to tell myself these things so that she doesn't grow up thinking, oh, phone is more important than me. How do I get into the phone so that dad can see me? Or,
yeah.
Papa's running is more important than me. What do I have to do to get Papa's attention? Like these people deserve my attention, and I have to make sure like I carve time in it. Like there's times in my schedule for like Erica time, Ellie time, like even Jake has a time in here. Like I have to really divvy up my time and my energy so that like I can give my undivided attention. If I don't do that, I'm not present. It's not fair to the other person I'm speaking to.
Oh, that's beautiful, man. It's beautiful to see people. That's such an important thing that you just said. I very similar. Um, Seeing my kids, seeing my wife, like actually seeing them for who they are, the individuals that they
Mm,
are, their hopes, their dreams, the things that they're doing, getting out of first player mode, main
mm,
character mode. I'm the main character of life. Everyone else is ancillary around this whole like player one with the joysticks, like
mm-hmm. Yeah.
and really yeah, just really being there. And I still struggle with it on a regular basis. Especially my wife is going through a bit of a career change over the last year or so. I may have talked to you about this a little bit, but she got into permanent makeup, right? So she's
Mm,
been doing eyebrows and eyeliner. And then recently, over the last 6 months, she's gotten into tiny tattoos. So she's actually doing like what is it, fine line? Like it's just that
mm-hmm.
doing much shading. She's been
Yeah.
tattooing my leg, which has been an interesting
Oh, so
experience for
cool.
her. Yeah, yeah. No, I'm a canvas for her. So I said, hey, I'm here for you, baby. Like, and we've had all kinds of things that little pieces that I've been wanting over time, and she's just been getting after it, and it's a bonding experience for us because I love being tattooed by her. It's fun. Um, it's great for her because she gets to practice a little bit. She's
Yeah.
starting to think about scaling that part of her business. But what I found is being able to watch her do something that she's trying to become better at. And she's got a steady hand. She's an artistic person. Like, good for her. She's got a lot to learn still.
Mm,
But like, man, just watching her grow in that way has just been incredible for me to wrap my head around, like, who is this person that I've been with for 18 years? Who
yeah.
who really is this person? What does she
Right,
really
right.
want? And that's changing. And I think I've held her static for far too long.
Mm,
You know what I mean?
yeah. I definitely understand that. Me and Erica, we've been together 15 years. After 5 years, we did long distance for 3 years.
Yeah.
And she had her career in digital advertising. I had my startup in tattooing. We did long distance, and then we had the conversation of like, what are we really doing? Like, how do we want to do this? And she ended up deciding to move out to Vegas. And I was like, if you move out here, like, I don't want you to resent me if things don't go right. Like, like you have to do this on your own accord. So she left her career, she left her family, she came to be with me. So I was like, oh shit, this woman's serious. So I committed to her, and she worked some jobs in between. She became a mom, and when she became a mom, she stayed at home, and that was for about 3 years. My daughter's 3.5 now,
Yeah.
and the past 6 to 9 months, we started to like she started to like step into a role of like, first it was just like bookkeeping and accounting, then it became like business management and the financial officer of things. And like I've known my wife for 15 years, but to see her step into her role
Yeah.
and do what she does best of like organization and management and talking to people and like getting things in order, um, it was so powerful to see her in that new light. And I also had to learn to like not call her honey at work. Like in work mode, she's Erica. At home, she's honey.
Yeah.
And it was one of those things of like, it's really awesome to see someone who I've connected with for so long come into like their greatness of like what they do. And still like she's not at her final form yet. And I need her just as much as she needs me. Like I need her to like tell me what I'm doing wrong, like what I could be doing better. And likewise with everyone else around me, like to see people rise to their greatness, what their calling or their thing is at the time, is one of the most like fulfilling things to see of just like, damn, people are like stepping it up. how can I step up too, so that we can all like rise to our greatness.
Yeah, well, definitely a parallel path in our life, brother, because I'm going through the same thing over the last year with my lady as well. So how cool that is. Hey,
Yeah.
you put the Jake Blanchard podcast logo on my forearm.
Mm-hmm.
You tattooed that on me, man, and
Yeah.
it's one of my favorite things. I look at it every single day. I have to. I mean, it's on my
Yeah.
forearm. Um,
Uh-huh.
and it's I've got some work. I got some work to do getting this sleeve finished out
Mm-hmm.
down there in Texas. When's a good time for me to come down? You let me know. When's a good time? When's the studio going to be all finished out?
I say we're set to finish construction by the end of August, and
Okay.
then September, October, like everything will really start to be dialed in. So anytime after like September, I really want everyone who's gonna get tattooed like to really experience the upside experience. And one of our tagline is "Welcome Home" because like we've been calling it a tattoo house instead of a tattoo shop. It isn't a retail space, but I want people to come in there, and I want you to come in there to feel like you're home, like you're super comfortable, everyone around you is like friends and family. And for that to like fully like come to like form that experience, I want you to wait until like that those doors open.
Okay.
And when the moment we open that door for you, like I want you to be teleported into this place. And it's a place where like creative energy just thrives, like the energy is high. um I can't wait to share it with you, man. It's gonna be awesome when we do add on to it.
Oh, I'm looking forward to it too. And one of the great things about Austin, Texas, it is basically the spot right now for Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu in the
Yes,
country.
it
There are
is.
so many amazing Jiu-Jitsu schools, athletes that have found their home in Austin. And for me, it's like, why wouldn't I just take a week off and just jump schools
Yeah.
for 4 or 5 days and then kind of
Yeah.
finish things off with with some work by the world-renowned
Yeah.
Andy Foe.
Yeah, do that. Do the jitsu first, not after your tattoo. Um, Man, during 2020, I went for a month and a half, 4 days a week, Friday to Monday, and just private one-on-ones because I didn't want to get injured by another white belt. Like I was
Yeah.
just learning how to roll. And then my trainer lost his gym, so I was like, man, like something I was really into. And then when I came out here, there's a 10th Planet Round Rock, less than a mile from my house. And if they were open an hour earlier, I would go. But I'm just trying to figure out like with all these things that I have, on my schedule, it's like how can I make time for this one thing that I really want to do? So every time someone tells me jujitsu, it's just like another thing I got to add to my list. When am I going to do it? When am I going to do it? So thank you for the reminder. I got to find time to
Oh,
do it.
yeah. I was gonna say, is 10th Planet Round Rock, is that Curtis Himbroff? Do you know who's
I don't know who's
I'm
there,
I'm actually
but
looking
I
up.
just
Oh, it is.
a lot of people told me about 10th Planet,
Yeah,
and it's
Gabe
near my
Tuttle.
house.
Yeah, dude, that is a killer gym. There's actually a guy, I believe, who trains out there that I've had on the that I've had on the podcast before, the Distinguished Savage. Shout out to Walt Settlemeyer. But
Yeah.
funny story. The guy who's out there at 10th Planet Austin or Round Rock, Curtis Himbroff grew up just outside of my hometown in Alaska,
Oh, okay.
and then made his went down to Austin, or I don't know his story, but I know that he was in Texas for some reason. Then he moved back up to Alaska and started
Mm,
some jujitsu schools up in Alaska, 10th Planet in Soldotna, my hometown. That's actually where I
yeah.
just trained. I was in Alaska for 2 weeks. I went
Oh,
and trained at
okay.
the school that he had started, which was really fun, and hearing about his legacy of going up there and starting gym. But he's back in Texas now. So if you get down there, man, I've heard great things, never met him personally. But shout out to Curtis Himbroff.
Yeah.
All
Oh
right,
man,
man.
I'm excited for this.
All right, brother. Well, is there anything that we didn't touch on today that's worth bringing up as far as what's going on in the world of Andy Foe tattooing, things that the folks should listening should know about?
I've been the idea has been conceptualizing, but it's finally coming to fruition. Like, I actually here's a fun fact. I started doing podcasts back in 2007. I
Yeah.
did 13 episodes. It's called the I'm For Real podcast, and it was right at the time of like podcasts were on RSS feeds.
Yeah.
Like you had to have a link, you had to add it in there, and it was this whole like process to get through it. Internet was slow, but I just remember like doing that, and I put it on hold. I stopped it, and I still have the same YouTube channel. The other videos, they're on private, so no one's gonna be able to find them. But now I'm at a place where like I'm putting more content up there. I'm gonna get back into like the speaking stuff and like getting the insights and perspectives of other artists, other like amazing people. So if it's one thing that I just want to put out there is like follow the growth of YouTube. I'm for real. And I just can't wait to like continue to share like all the stuff that's been going on, because like I'm just here to like share and like help other people out through whatever capacity is possible. Like we're all going through the same human experience. We're all relatable on one form or another. Um, I'm just super excited to just have this opportunity to just speak with you and share it.
Well, my brother, feelings mutual, man. It has been such a pleasure to get to know you over the last year or two. Actually, two now.
Yeah.
Looking forward to the next time you and I have a conversation, brother. Hopefully it's around planning this sleeve on my right arm, and then also following the growth of your channel. Say the channel name again.
Mm-hmm. I'm for real. IMPHOREAL.
I am faux real.
Yeah.
I absolutely love that, man. Upside Tattoo in Austin, Texas. Super easy to find Andy on the internet. All you have to do is type in Andy Faux, or just go to Instagram, follow Andy Faux to see some of the amazing artwork that he is sticking on people or drawing. And looking forward to your comments. And feel free to reach out to Andy if you're in the Austin, Texas area and you want to get a little bit of artwork. So Andy, thanks again for coming on the show, my brother, and we'll talk soon.
Thank you, brother. I love you. We'll be talking soon.
I love you too, man. Cheers.